A lot has happened over the last couple of days. I think virtually every manager that we featured on the last video has had their moment in the sun of being the favourite for the job. There's been a lot of twists and turns, and a lot of other things have happened already in the race to become the next Celtic manager. And the rumours were flying last night, so much so that betting was suspended again on Brendan Rodgers becoming the next Celtic manager. But for me, there was two big revelations that came out across the internet, across the pantheon of football rumour mills. The first one is Andoni Iraola. Now, the news came out yesterday from Football España that he is going to be applying for the Celtic job. Now, Andoni Iraola is a manager you may or may not be familiar with. He is a man from the Basque country, Athletic Bilbao, or Spanish brothers if you like. Played all of his career in La Liga, used to be a tidy player on Football Manager back in the day, finished up at NYCFC in the MLS, CFG, and during his time at Vallecano, he has been gaining admirers every week. He has got a rising reputation, so much so he was turning down Premier League SOS jobs in January, wanting to see out the season with Vallecano, trying to get them into the European spots. Alas, that didn't work out, and his contract is out. He's a free agent at the moment, and he's actively applying to come and be the Celtic manager. He's a guy that's very well thought of. I must admit, I said on one of the podcasts that I don't really understand a lot of the hype around them. I've watched a lot of Vallecano this year, and they're good, right? They're a good team. They were nice enough to watch and all the rest of it, but I never ever watched them and thought, oh, I wonder who their manager is. I knew who their manager was because I kept hearing people talking about him and whatever. Their numbers, their stats, they're all fine, to be honest with you. La Liga this season, in a nutshell for you, the top 6 really did rule the roost here. So basically the rest of the division was a real fight between the rest of the teams. Almost everyone here has around 15 losses, if not more, in the season. And a lot of that is because the top 4 or 5 teams kind of beat everyone. So on the face of it, the numbers aren't that great. The statistics on what the players do on the pitch has been very good, and when you remove the statistics against the Barcelonas and the Real Madrids, they become a bit easier on the eye. The team play a very pressing, the forward line is very similar. It's a very Celtic front line. It's a very Celtic midfield, and he's used to having really creative players in Isi Payazon, really clinical forwards in Raul de Tomas, RDT, and there's some other players in that team that are kind of okay that I won't bore you with, but it would be, I could see exactly what he would do with a Celtic team, and I don't think there's any player in the current Celtic squad that was an Ange ball player or whatever that you couldn't see Andoni Iraola been able to play in his system without much, kind of finessing of the tactics and the strategy and all that kind of thing. So I think if he's actively applying with the reputation he currently holds, I believe he'll probably interview pretty well. He does, I believe, have some sort of CFG affiliation, which seems to be some sort of prerequisite, because the other news that we had come out yesterday was the guy from Mumbai was in Glasgow. Des Buckingham was pictured at Glasgow Airport, and a lot of the speculation is he's been sounded out to be a number 2 or to be an assistant. I can almost categorically say I hope to God it's not to be a manager on the strength of his time at Mumbai. The Indian League, from what little I know of it, has only played for 2 or 3 months of the season, only has 15 matches in it. It's a very undeveloped league at the moment. So somebody like this coming in to be an assistant manager, potentially to somebody like Andoni Iraola, Brendan Rodgers, whatever the other candidates it could be, I think it's a really good move. And Celtic have tried this over the years, and we've failed in a few different ways. Almost everyone knows, or it's at least urban myth, if not fact at this point, Ronny Deila was supposed to be the number 2 before getting vaulted into the number 1 spot after Neil Lennon left the club. But had he come in as a number 2 to Lennon, the succession plan of him then taking over the first team the following season, the Ronny Deila era might have worked out a lot differently. We also had John Collins come in as well under Ronny Deila as his number 2, and I feel that between the likes of John Collins and Harry Kewell, I think both those guys probably came to the club with one eye on the big chair, particularly if the manager was to move mid-season and the club would have needed to get a solution in overnight. And with Brendan Rodgers having Chris Davies, the opportunity is never there for that kind of handover opportunity from assistant to go into the full manager's position. Because I don't think anyone would have wanted John Collins to take over from Deila, and I don't think anyone would have wanted Kewell to take over from Ange, although I did hold my suspicions that that was a plan that was afoot, but it sounds like he will be going to Spurs. Along with John Kennedy, by the way, which really doesn't sit well with me. John Kennedy has been, at the club for so long. Now, I know this is probably a once-in-a-lifetime career opportunity for him as well, because I don't see many links to John Kennedy's coaching career leaving Celtic, but, it's those guys in the club, the John Kennedys, and now we'll be looking at the O'Days and the McManuses, are these are the guys that really keep the continuity at the club. And I feel that a lot of the fear, a lot of the negativity, a lot of the anger that's in the Celtic community at the moment is really down to the concern that we have that the club are not going to strike gold twice. They're not going to get somebody in as capable as Ange who can do that 360 role, and we don't ultimately believe the club can replace that 360-degree effort that he put into the team. So I think that first and foremost we'll get a real signal of intent from that, from who the appointment actually is, and then it'll be the cascade effect of that from there in terms of the internal club infrastructure, because the club must feel vulnerable. Ange is left now for Tottenham, and he's now taken all of our institutional coaches, potentially. It was a nightmare when Rodgers done the same thing, and Des Buckingham, I think, would be a great guy to come into the club and be like a proper Celtic employee if he could come in and like work at the team for the next 10 years or something like that. I would be very, very much on board with. So potentially some exciting news kind of breaking out there, and I really do. I see some David Moyes stuff out there. Really, congratulations to him and West Ham. Really happy for those guys to win a European trophy, but I don't think that would be the solution for this appointment. Could definitely see him being a Celtic manager in the future. But let me know in the comment section down below about the latest developments, what you think of the latest rumours, favourites, and everything else in between. Hail, hail, and I'll catch you on the next one.